News this morning, the bill around attacking Christians to divide Nigeria, says federal government. Customs uncovers new method of smuggling drugs. Federal government confirms COVID-19 in Lagos. Eagles top target business gets Nigerian passport. Good morning, welcome to MCL News. I'm Ruth Hans. Thanks for joining us. We just still apologize for coming by and sharing meanwhile details of the news. In January 2020, the monthly allowance of corps members was increased from 19,800 naira to 33,000 naira by the federal government. The increment is in line with implementation of the new minimum wage agreed on by workers, labor unions and the federal government to meet up with the current economic realities. But it appears that the euphoria sparked by this piece of news amongst the corps members is gradually waning, as the increased allowance is seemingly setting the corps members against the rest of the public. Ichitashi Chukwaja reports.
The last time the allowance of members of the National Youth Service Corps was increased was in 2011 under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan. The allowance was increased from 9,775 naira to 19,800 naira with effect from March 2011. It was therefore a delightful news for corps members when the federal government announced and implemented the increment of the monthly allowance of corps members from 19,800 naira to 33,000 naira in January 2020. The social media space was not spared, as almost all social media platforms were awash with the news. After 1 month of the euphoria that greeted the increment, is the allowance a form of pain or gain? Corps members in Umuahia shared their reaction upon receipt of the credit alert of 33,000 naira allowance and reaction from members of the public to the news.
When I got the alert, I had to switch off my phone and on it again. It was still the same message I saw, 33,000. I was very happy. Everybody heard about the increment. Everybody, so even the bike man, the bike people, they started telling us, you, they have increased your allowance now, so you pay more, you pay more, you pay more. Going to the market women, you pay more. Copper, hey, your money is much now, 33,000. We even stopped, like somebody like me, I stopped going to the market with my NYC. When I received that 33K, you know, the thing was shocking. It's a gain for me because it helps me to, you know, to project myself for that same month. And to some extent, I didn't try to manage that much. But before now, my budget was around 14,000 naira, so I could save something. But when I had the notion that this money would definitely come, I had to increase the budget. Friends were calling, family members were calling, bros, we hear so you don't receive the 33. What will I do? I just have to show love to my brothers. So at the end of the day, you know, I couldn't really have up to 5,000 naira to myself.
However, for corps members who are about passing out of the service, it is their wish that their payments be backtracked to April 2019, when the new minimum wage bill was signed into law.
We will also be more happier than what we are now if you pay the arrears since July 2019. If he has been doing it, he can do it. Since he is able to pay 33,000, so what is the arrears? He will do it.
We've asked for arrears, but they said they will not pay us arrears. We are thankful at least there was a change, there was an increment in the allowance because it was actually needed.
Would corps members love to stay back after their service year due to the increment?
No, that one is not possible because service year is just only one. Even though it tends to, you know, prolong the service year, you will not be paid for it. So, as a matter of fact, as a man, you don't expect to be in a particular place for long. And as even stated, it's just only 1 year. So after a year, you move on and forge ahead.
Out there, I will make more. I'm a tailor. So NYSC has held me down for 1 year. So if I go back there, in a month I'll make more than 33,000.
I don't think 33,000 I can feed me and my family.
With the increment in the monthly allowance of corps members in the country, it is hoped that it will bolster the morale of those in the compulsory National Youth Service Corps. Nchetachi Chukwaja, MCL News.
The federal government has raised the alarm that Boko Haram insurgents are attacking Christians to divide the country. It said the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has the systematic campaign to persecute Christians in Nigeria. It says since insurgents were feeling hurt by troops, they have opted to be targeting Christians to cause chaos. It pleaded with religious leaders not to fall for the war antics of Boko Haram. It however explained that troops were winning the war, including the recent killing of the chief judge of Boko Haram. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Mohammed, made the position of the government known at a briefing in Abuja on the current security challenges facing the nation. Mohammed pleaded with religious leaders not to buy into Boko Haram's agenda. The minister insisted that troops were doing well in curtailing Boko Haram insurgency. In the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS has alleged that despite the closure of the land borders, criminals still smuggle rice into the country with caskets and gas cylinders. The agency stated that the ingenuity deployed by criminals or smugglers has made it possible for contraband items to come into the country. NCS Public Relations Officer Mr. Joseph Atta, in an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria, a newsman in Abuja, explained that there were so many factors responsible for the entrance of smuggled items into the country in spite of efforts to stop them by the service. He stated that most smugglers use unapproved routes to bring in contraband goods into the country, while some deviously conceal the items to escape arrest by customs operatives. Atta noted that customs had fortified its strategies and intelligence to check the smuggling. Nigeria in August last year closed its land borders to check smuggling, especially of rice and petroleum products. Ahead of Saturday's local government elections in Enugu State, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi on Thursday called on the people of the state to ensure peaceful conduct of the exercise. The governor made the appeal when he led stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the grand finale of the party's campaign, which held at the headquarters of Udenu local government area. The PDP had flagged off its chairmanship campaign last week, Thursday, at Ikem, the headquarters of Isuzo local government area, where the leaders of the party, Ano Hanez and Libo in the state, applauded Governor Ugwuanyi for entrenching peace and good governance through participatory democracy. Addressing party members and teaming supporters at the grand finale at Udeni local government area, Governor Ugwuanyi urged the electorate to exercise their franchise on Saturday, noting that all hands must be on deck to sustain the existing peace in the state. The governor thanked the people of the state for their show of solidarity, prayers and goodwill and support for the PDP-led state government. Speaking on behalf of the members of the National Assembly from Enugu State, the senator representing Enugu West Senatorial District, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, appreciated God and Governor Ugwuanyi for the peaceful processes of the local government elections in the state, starting from the party's primaries to the campaign. He also charged the candidates of the party to keep faith with their campaign promises if they win elections on Saturday by ensuring that they execute development projects in the various council areas for the well-being of the people. And residents of Enugu State have rejected the proposed increase in electricity tariff by distribution companies. Discos warning that no attempt should be made to increase the hardship the masses were going through in the country. The residents who spoke at the stakeholders' consultations on the extraordinary review of the multi-year tariff order organized by the Enugu Electricity Distribution PLC EEDC said they are yet to receive commensurate services on the current tariff, hence not disposed to any increase. The discos had come up with a 50% increase on the current tariff, which they said would commence in April this year, and were engaging customers to accept their proposal. But at the EEDC stakeholders consultations at the Brown Sunshine Hotel, Presidential Road, Enugu, one customer after another took a swipe at the EEDC, which covers the South-East geopolitical zone, expressing displeasure with its services. While majority of the customers said absolutely no to increase in tariff, some said the problem was not increase in tariff but the discos EEDC giving them the required service. Earlier, the Chief Technical Officer of the EEDC and other officers had explained the reason behind the increase and solicited the support of the customers. Also speaking, the representative of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, Emeka, noted that the discos, including EEDC, have not been able to pay tariff for generation, noting that as of December 2019, they were only able to pay 29% of the generator's cost, stressing that increase in the tariff was to assist them meet up their responsibilities to their customers and the generators. The NERC officials say the regulatory body directed the discos to engage the customers to get their permission for the increase. The Supreme Court yesterday declined to reverse its judgment that sacked David Leon and Degi Eremiyolu as governor and deputy governor-elect of Bayelsa State. The Apex Court, in a unanimous decision by a 7-man panel of justices headed by Justice Sylvester Nguta, dismissed the two different applications that sought to set aside the judgment it delivered against Leon and his deputy on 13th of February. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, yesterday lauded the Apex Court for upholding the election of Senator Doye Diri as governor of Bayelsa State. In the lead decision by Justice Amina Oke, the Apex Court described the fresh applications that were filed by Leon, his deputy, and All Progressive Congress, APC, as highly vexatious, frivolous, and gross abuse of the judicial process. She held that the applications were aimed at desecrating the sanctity of the court, stressing that it was an invitation for the Supreme Court to sit on appeal over its final judgment. Meanwhile, the SAG governor-elect of Bayelsa State, David Leon, has accepted the final decision of the Supreme Court on its judgment that nullified the victory at the November 16, 2019 governorship election. Leon, in a statement he personally signed, said though the decision of the Apex Court to stick to its February 13 judgment dashed the hope of the people of the state, he accepted it in the interest of peace and the development of Bayelsa. He appealed to the supporters of the All Progressive Congress, his loyalists, and the people that came out in March to vote for him to accept the judgment and maintain peace. Leon commended the leadership of the APC at the state and national levels for their tenacity in upholding the principles of constitutional democracy. And still to come on MCL News, medical experts have some causes of sudden death. Federal government confirms COVID-19 in Lagos State. Saudi Arabia suspends entry for pilgrims over coronavirus. Eagles top target Dessus gets Nigerian passport. Details of these and more after the break. Please stay with us.
With heavy heart, the management and staff of Loving Communications Limited, MCLtv, announced the death of one of his staff, Mr. Nathaniel Ogugwa Mwabilike. The sad event occurred on Wednesday, 19 February 2020. Until his death, the late Mwabilike, popularly known as Akunwa Joto, was the studio manager of MCLtv. The deceased was a graduate of theatre arts from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. He was the creator of the program Frontliners, which metamorphosed into front runners. Sports Digest, which has been running for more than a decade, is the brainchild of late Mr. Nwabunike. He was also credited with the introduction of newspaper review on MCLtv. The burial announcement will be announced by the family. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Welcome back, and you're still on to MCL News. Thanks for staying with us. The need for people, especially the elderly, to always go for regular medical checkup has been re-emphasized. They will assist in early detection of ailments that may lead to sudden death if not checked. They were also advised to avoid sedentary lifestyle and excess intake of alcohol and other stimulants that could trigger cardiovascular diseases, which health experts identified as a major cause of sudden death. The advice was given by a medical practitioner while speaking to MCL News on the causes of sudden death. The report.
Speaking on the causes of sudden death, Dr. Goshkokre said that a significant number of patients who suffer sudden cardiac death will have no preceding symptoms, while others may have a history of chest pain, dizziness, headache, syncope, or loss of consciousness. He stated that majority of sudden death cases are caused by heart-related diseases, as the heart requires constant supply of oxygen and nutrients to keep functioning. He advised people to avoid any acts that may be injurious and block blood flow within the heart region.
It can occur in elderly, although you can still see it in children. It can occur in the young, between 30, 40, 50 years, any age at all. The other risk factors is when somebody is what they call low or big body mass index. If you are obese, if you are obesity, if you are very fat, obesity. So being big or being small can lead you to sudden death. If you are very tiny, you have to be very careful. If you are not big so much, you have to be very careful. If you are so big, so fat, you have to be very careful. Then hypertension, uncontrolled high blood pressure. If you are not controlling your high blood pressure very well, it can lead to any of these sudden deaths. If you are diabetic and you are not controlling your diabetes, it can lead to sudden deaths. If you are taking too much alcohol, excessive intake of alcohol, cigarette smoking, drug abuse, if you are taking too much caffeine or nicotine, maybe you are taking too much cola. If you are taking too much cola, that's not good at all. It can lead to irregular heartbeats. Other things are people that are taking goof, all these Igbo or weeds, can lead to irregular heartbeats.
Speaking on the risk factors, Dr. Cole fingered obesity, leanness, hypertension, diabetes, smoking, excess intake of alcohol and narcotics, as well as processed foods as some of the contributory factors to sudden cardiac death. He advised people to strive to know the condition of their hearts before engaging in strenuous activities that could affect the strength of their hearts.
Regularly check your blood pressure and regularly take your antihypertensive drugs. If you are having diabetics, make sure you check your diabetics and make sure you take your drugs. Go to your doctor for a good guide, so that your doctor will guide you.
Health is wealth. Hence, the importance of regular medical checks cannot be overemphasized, as a stitch in time saves 9. Chinyere Chibu, MCL News.
The Nigerian government has announced the coronavirus disease case in Lagos State, Nigeria. The Federal Ministry of Health confirmed the positive test of coronavirus in Nigeria on Friday morning in a statement signed by Dr. Sagi Hanive, Minister of Health. The case recorded on the Thursday, 27th of February 2020, is the first to be reported in Nigeria since the outbreak in Wuhan, China in December 2019. The killer disease has hit at least 40 countries and caused over 3,000 deaths. The minister's statement disclosed that the case is an Italian citizen who works in Nigeria and returned from Milan, Italy to Lagos, Nigeria on the 25th of February 2020. It was confirmed by the virology laboratory of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, part of the laboratory network of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC. The patient is clinically stable with no serious symptoms and is being managed at the Infectious Disease Hospital in Yaba, Lagos. The Nigerian government said it has been strengthening measures to ensure an outbreak in Nigeria is controlled and contained quickly. It noted that the multi-sectoral coronavirus preparedness group led by the NCDC has immediately activated its National Emergency Operations Center and will work closely with the Lagos State Health Authorities to respond to this case and implement firm control measures. And the minister added in a quote, I wish to assure all Nigerians that we have been beefing up our preparedness capabilities ever since the first confirmation of cases in China, and we will use all the resources made available by government to respond to this case. We have already started working to identify all the contacts of the patients since they entered Nigeria. Please be reminded that most people who have become infected may experience only mild illness and recover easily, but it can be more severe in others, particularly the elderly and persons with other underlying chronic illnesses. All Nigerians should take care of their health and maintain hand and respiratory hygiene to protect themselves and others, including their own families, by following the precautions below. Regularly and thoroughly wash your hands with soap and water and use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Maintain at least 1.5 meters 5 feet distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Persons with persistent cough or sneezing should stay at home or keep a social distance but not mix in crowd. Make sure you and people around you follow good respiratory hygiene, meaning cover your mouth and nose with a tissue or into your sleeve at the bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Then dispose of the used tissue immediately. Stay home if you feel unwell with symptoms like fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. Please call NCDC toll-free number, which is available day and night for guidance, 080-097-000010. Do not engage in self-medication. Stay informed on the latest development about coronavirus through official channels on TV and radio, including the Lagos State Ministry of Health, NCDC, and Federal Ministry of Health. The Nigerian government appealed to citizens not to engage in spreading misinformation that will cause fear and panic. Saudi Arabia Thursday suspended visas for visit to Islam's holiest site for the Umrah pilgrimage, an unprecedented move triggered by coronavirus fears that raises questions over the annual Hajj. The kingdom, which hosts millions of pilgrims every year in the cities of Mecca and Medina, also suspended visas for travelers from countries with reported infections as fears of a pandemic deepen. Saudi Arabia, which so far has reported no cases of the virus but has expressed alarm over its spread in neighboring countries, says suspensions were temporary. It provided no time frame for when they will be lifted. The kingdom's government has decided to take the following precautions, suspending entry to the kingdom for the purpose of Umrah and visit to Prophet's Mosque temporarily, the foreign ministry said in a statement. The move comes as Gulf countries implement a raft of measures, including flight suspensions and school closures, to curb the spread of the disease from people returning from pilgrimages to Iran. Even as the number of fresh coronavirus cases decline at the epicenter of the disease in China, there has been a sudden increase across the Middle East. Since its outbreak, the United Arab Emirates has reported 13 coronavirus cases, Kuwait has recorded 43, Bahrain has 33, and Oman is at 4 cases. The United Nations Health Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus says the coronavirus has pandemic potential. Ghebreyesus says the spread of coronavirus to countries such as Iran, Italy, and South Korea has brought the world to a crossroads where the outbreak can either be contained. Tedros, however, advised that it is not time to panic, despite the increasing number of cases outside China in the past 2 days. Tedros, however, urged all governments to prepare not only for their first COVID-19 cases or infection clusters, but also for full-blown epidemics in their country. 22 people have died so far from coronavirus in Iran, while over 2,600 deaths have been recorded in the world since the outbreak of the disease in Wuhan, China. And now take sports. Striker Cyril Dessers, a target for Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr, has been issued a Nigerian passport ahead of next month's 2021 Afghan qualifier against Sierra Leone. Dessers, 25, got his green passport on Tuesday and can now make his Eagles debut on March 27 in Asaba against Leone Stars. Dessers, whose mother is Belgium, could also play for Belgium, but he has been quoted as saying he has opted for play for the Super Eagles. Meanwhile, Dessers has revealed that 5 years ago he made up his mind. He wanted to play for the Super Eagles and not Belgium, where his father is from. A source close to Heracles said that the player has been following the Super Eagles for a long time, and even though he has played for Belgium at a youth level, he has made up his mind that he wanted to play for Nigeria, where his mother is from. Dessers was over the moon after he held his Nigerian passport, the source added. And that is the Satisfy News package for this morning, but before we go, a recap of our main stories. The federal government has raised the alarm that Boko Haram insurgents are attacking Christians to revive the country. The Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, is alleged that despite the closure of the Land Brothers, criminals still smuggle rice into the country with caskets and gas cylinders. And the Nigerian government has announced a coronavirus disease COVID-19 case in Lagos State, Nigeria. And then the World of Sports will brought you a report that striker Cyril Dessers, a target for Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr, has been issued a Nigerian passport ahead of next month's 2021 Afghan qualifier against Sierra Leone. And that was news. Thanks for sharing your time with us, but do join us at 1 p.m. for our news update, and do stay tuned for Good Morning Abia at 8. I am Ruth Hams. Do have a wonderful day.